Nicole Kidman could have become a giant star just based on her looks. But instead, she has become a giant star based on her enormous talent. She is a simply brilliant actress.
Upon being presented with her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in January 2003, the girl from Oz had to admit she'd come a long way from home.
As a kid growing up in Sydney, Australia, this is sort of amazing to be standing here and becoming part of a Hollywood tradition that's been around for so long and will be around for so much longer.
Nicole Kidman had close ties to America from day one. She was born in Hawaii to Australian parents on June the 20th, 1967, giving her citizenship of both America and Australia, a fact that would come in very useful for her globe-trotting life to come. As a teenager growing up in North Sydney, she earned the nickname Storky due to her striking height, a statuesque 5'11". But self-consciousness was never a problem for Nicole. Her role as a feisty sailor's wife in the thriller Dead Calm caught the eye of Hollywood Crown Prince Tom Cruise. And at the age of just 22, she was signed up to star opposite him in the revved-up blockbuster Days of Thunder. Romance blossomed and they were married on Christmas Eve in 1990. It was a match made in heaven for gossip columnists and the paparazzi. And Nicole would have to acclimatise to the media's fascination with their private lives. Luckily for her, however, her new husband was already an old hand at dealing with the press.
No, you know what, you just look at it and when they go far off, then you sue and, you know, just certain things you don't pay attention to and, you know, mostly you just have to go on and live your life. You can't give it too much attention. And, you know, what are you going to do?
Well, you handle it.
What are you going to do?
Constant media attention was something that Nicole would soon get used to in her own right. Proving that she wasn't about to be overshadowed by her megastar husband, she landed the starring role in 1995's To Die For, alongside Matt Dillon. She played Suzanne Stone Moretto, a wannabe television newscaster who will do anything to get what she wants, even if it means killing her husband.
I think because she is raised in a world where television is everything. Her whole upbringing, you know, she lives in a small town and she just wants so desperately to be noticed.
To Die For confirmed her as a major talent. She received a British Academy Award nomination for Best Actress and walked away with a Best Actress award for her work in the film at the 1996 Golden Globes. Not long after that, she was out to promote the action flick Batman Forever, in which she played Batman's love interest, Dr. Chase Meridian. Her next role took her to 19th century Europe for the period drama Portrait of a Lady. By now, she was developing quite a reputation for mixing things up.
Me as an actress, I loved To Die For, and then I knew that I was going to be making Portrait of a Lady, so the balance of those two roles was very interesting to me. You know, as an actor, you want to be stretched, you want to be challenged, you want to do things that you think you can't do. So that's what was very exciting to me, was I suppose the way in which the two roles are quite extreme.
The film used many exotic locations, memories of which would stay with Nicole for many years to come.
We got to go to Florence, Lucca, Roma, London, and I speak Italian, so I got to sort of speak some Italian in the movie. And it was beautiful. It was really one of the highlights memories that I'll have for the rest of my life, is making a movie in Italy. It's one of my favorite countries in the world.
Working alongside co-stars John Malkovich, Martin Donovan and Barbara Hershey, Nicole proved that she could gracefully handle the convoluted dialogue of period drama. In fact, she was such a fan of the original novel, she'd committed to the project before the script was even finished.
When I read a script, I either relate to the character or there's something in it that hits me, and I just say, wow, I would love to be involved in that project. And, you know, with this, it was the novel because I
I was signed on to do it before there was even a script.
Her brilliant performance in Portrait of a Lady led to rumours of a possible Academy Award nomination.
You take it as a great compliment, and then you go back and do your work. I think you just, you know, it either happens or it doesn't happen, and ultimately you keep working.
The nod may not have been forthcoming, but that didn't slow Nick down. Next up was the role of Dr. Julia Kelly in the action thriller The Peacemaker. The Peacemaker saw Nicole and co-star George Clooney on the hunt for a terrorist who has stolen nuclear weapons and is determined to destroy the United Nations building. Nicole threw herself into meticulous research.
When I started doing the research and realizing how many nuclear weapons really exist and where they exist, that was terrifying. That was something that I had no understanding of, and now having an awareness, it almost, you think about it more and you worry about it more.
With The Peacemaker out of the way, the decks were cleared to work with Tom for the first time since Ron Howard's Far and Away in 1992. The vehicle was a thriller directed by Stanley Kubrick called Eyes Wide Shut. It told the story of a New York doctor who embarks on a surreal, sexy adventure after his wife reveals that she has contemplated having an affair. Even to seasoned actors like Nicole and Tom, the prospect of being directed by a giant of filmmaking like Kubrick was a little daunting.
We all sat down, we went to Stanley's house and we sat in a room with him, and I was completely intimidated. I don't know about Tom, but I was.
For Nicole and Tom, the project was first and foremost an opportunity to draw on their own experience, to create a detailed and credible portrait of the complex dynamics of marriage.
If we had had to make this film earlier in our relationship, I don't think it would have been, I don't think we would have given the performances we gave, and I don't think we would have been, I suppose, as willing to explore the different things that we had to explore in the film, because, you know, when there's a lot of honesty involved.
Rumours flew thick and fast about its plot and content. The film's sexual themes provoked speculation, with some journalists writing that it would be the sexiest film ever made.
It's about so many other things as well, and I think that it got blown out of proportion, actually.
Well, there's sex in it. I don't necessarily think it's about sex. It's about
some
sexual obsession and relationships and, you know, the dynamic of marriage. And
by this time, the state of their own relationship was the centre of much speculation, and Nicole shielded herself from the turmoil of her personal life by throwing herself body and soul into her work. The perfect distraction came in the form of a role that not only required her to act, but also sing and dance, as the beguiling Satine in Moulin Rouge.
It's a musical, yet it's a love story, yet it's got really high comedy, yet I mean, it's so many things, so it's so hard to describe the movie.
Directed by fellow Australian Baz Luhrmann, Moulin Rouge was a lavish musical set in an infamous Parisian nightclub. Nicole was cast opposite Ewan McGregor, who finds himself plunged into a decadent world where anything goes, except falling in love.
It's about love, it's about belief, it's about, I mean, the message at the end of the film is it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
Losing love was something all too fresh in Nicole's heart. However, she wasn't going to let her recent divorce from Tom upstage her most celebrated performance yet. No one had been expecting Nicole to be a bona fide triple threat. She could act, she could dance, and perhaps most surprisingly, she could sing.
Singing, usually confined to the shower. I sang in a band when I was 17, where I would do the Blondie covers. And that was the extent of my singing career. And then suddenly, you know, when I got cast in this film, I was in a recording studio with people who'd recorded with Madonna and Annie Lennox and Bjork. I mean, it was amazing for me.
With the first still flying in the press about her breakup from Tom, Nicole's performance in Moulin Rouge finally gave the media something else to talk about. Nicole's all-singing, all-dancing role won her a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a motion picture musical or comedy in 2002. Having already won the public sympathy vote, she was now being painted in the media as a champion of triumph over adversity. Her next role would take her a long way from the glitz and glamour of the musical to a much darker place in the others. Once again, she jumped at the chance to prove her versatility.
Well, actually last year I made both these films and I was so lucky because I got to do Moulin Rouge and the others in the 1 year, and creatively as an actress you just don't get to do such diverse characters, and that was the thing, that they were both so different. To play Satine in a courtesan and then to go and play this sort of very sexually repressed woman who's trapped in this house. You know, that's fun.
For her next trick, she took on the hugely challenging task of playing a Russian mail-order bride, for which she had to learn how to speak and swear in Russian. Nicole's radical conversion into the treacherous character won over even the toughest of critics.
Меня поразили три момента. Первый, когда она совсем ничего не говорит. Когда она просто, фактически, она играет как в немом кино. Да? То есть, вот, и при этом она русская. Вот что удивительно, мне рассказывали, что язык может менять вообще образ человека. Да? Получается так, что она вынуждена пользоваться русским языком, немножко и стала русской в этом фильме. Второй момент, когда она говорит по-русски. Я не могу сказать, что я всегда понимала все слова, но, в принципе, я видела, как она старалась, и что ей это очень нравится. И третий момент, когда она говорила по-английски, как ни странно, потому что по-английски она говорит немножко с русским акцентом. Когда об этом не забывает, она говорит по-английски так, как говорят русские по-английски.
To achieve this metamorphosis, Nicole sought help from a woman who worked at the Russian embassy in Australia.
She'd never worked on a film before, and I just said, teach me Russian, teach me how to speak as a Russian. And so I didn't work with a dialect coach on the actual Russian, I just worked with a Russian girl.
If transformations were becoming Nicole's trademark, she was about to up the ante in a role that would at last earn her a Best Actress Oscar. In 2002, she starred alongside Meryl Streep and Julianne Moore in The Hours, playing the tragically short-lived novelist Virginia Woolf.
I think I just loved her, you know, as I found out more and more about her, I just thought how much I admired her and respected her and was fascinated by her. I mean, she's fascinating, and her ability to put her thoughts and her struggle and all of the ideas that she had about life and connections and into these stories is just wonderful.
Such was Nicole's dedication. She surprised the film's producers by insisting that she substantially alter her appearance for the role. For The Hours, she wore a prosthetic nose, which made her almost unrecognizable.
I never watched dailies, so I just saw the makeup test, really, and then after that I didn't give it a second thought. I basically, you know, it was more just about, I didn't want to be overwhelmed or intimidated by her too much, because at first it was daunting, and then I went, no, I've just got to be true to this woman, I've got to find her, I've got to step in and just do it, you know, and not monitor or censor anything.
If Nicole had played a supporting role to Tom Cruise throughout their marriage, she had now well and truly come into her own. With an Oscar and a Golden Globe win for The Hours, she found herself unveiling her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and being praised by one of the most powerful women in Hollywood.
What really happens with Nicole is that her entire body changes, her voice changes, and she literally becomes invisible, and all you see is Virginia Woolf.
She wasted no time in testing her versatility even further by signing up for 3 very different films: Dogville, The Human Stain, and Cold Mountain. But then, having taken over from Julia Roberts as the highest paid actress in Hollywood, she was still hungry for new challenges in her film work. And her next big challenge came in the shape of her 2004 movie, Birth, Directed by Jonathan Glazer and co-starring Lauren Bacall, it's centered on a woman who becomes convinced that a 10-year-old boy is the reincarnation of her dead husband. The film, which involves Nicole taking a bath with the boy, asked more questions than it answered and sparked a wave of controversy.
I love to make films that cause discussion, which is why I don't like to actually answer specifically what does this mean, or because particularly on something like this, people debate it and they all have a different, you know, was it really her husband or was it, I mean, it's divided. And it should be.
She carried on mixing it up with remakes of the Stepford Wives and 60s comedy series Bewitched, before opting for a good old-fashioned thriller. The Interpreter, co-starring Sean Penn, would be the first movie ever filmed inside the world-famous United Nations building in New York. The last few years have seen Nicole battling marauding aliens in the action thriller The Invasion, bickering with Jennifer Jason Leigh in the family drama Margot at the Wedding, and portraying the sinister Mrs. Coulter in the fantasy epic The Golden Compass, as well as lending her voice to an animated penguin in Happy Feet.
Obviously, you know, in my career, what I'm looking to do is shake things up. I don't like doing the same thing over and over. I certainly don't choose things just for the sake of being liked or anything. I'm very into working with interesting directors and seeking out things that are different. And I saw this as something different.
Having said that, it was then back to more familiar territory. Her next project, Australia, teamed her up with her old friend and collaborator Baz Luhrmann and gave her a chance to hang out with her country folk in the blistering heat of the Northern Territory.
I was like in Darwin, everyone's the same, you know, they're very warm. I'd go and get a facial and a massage, and the girls in the beautician were just lovely. And so I just think the warmth in which the country, you just feel it throughout the whole country. I understand why people come here and go, they want to move here.
While there's no doubt that Nicole Kidman's impressive body of work alone qualifies her for the status of icon, she has made an equally indelible mark on the public consciousness with her celebrated beauty and style. At the peak of her success as an actress, she was also riding high on her status as the world's #1 fashion icon. Her porcelain skin, immaculate style and perfect poise had long been drawing comparisons with classic Golden Age beauties like Audrey Hepburn. And her statuesque frame had made her the favourite clothes horse of top designers like Karl Lagerfeld and Balenciaga. Choosing just the right outfit seemed to come naturally to her.
It's pretty decisive. I just sort of see a dress that I like and I go, that's what I'm going to wear. I don't put an enormous amount of deliberation into it, but I just sort of know what I like and I go, yeah, that seems like I would feel comfortable in it. I do like to be able to sit down in it and I like to be able to eat in it.
The same year, Nicole signed a deal to become the face of Chanel No. 5 perfume, and featured in a $42 million 3-minute film directed by Baz Luhrmann to promote the fragrance. Her reported fee of around $3.7 million made her the highest paid actor on record, earning more than $1 million per minute of screen time. However, it hasn't all been about pulling in the big bucks. Nicole has also devoted plenty of time and energy to giving back. Having been involved with UNICEF for almost 15 years, she now also serves as a passionate goodwill ambassador for UNIFEM, the United Nations Development Fund for Women. She first became aware of the fund after her mother heard a program on the radio about the work that UNIFEM was doing in Cambodia to create economic opportunities for rural women. She's since become a very vocal campaigner in the fight to end violence against women.
I still find it almost impossible to wrap my head around the fact that by just being born a woman, you are at risk of some of the most appalling and probably most widespread human rights violation of our time. And this is why UNIFEM's internet campaign, Say No to Violence Against Women, is so important.
Nicole's dedication to charity work which also includes raising awareness of breast cancer, has helped earn her a Companion of the Order of Australia, as well as a Citizen of the World Honour from the UN. The moment Nicole Kidman stepped out on the arm of Tom Cruise back in 1990, she was also entering into a lifelong relationship with the paparazzi, fending off media speculation about Tom's sexuality and the validity of their marriage. They reigned for the next decade as the world's most glamorous couple, adopting 2 children, Isabella and Connor. The reason behind Tom's decision to break up the happy home in 2001 has never been made public, although there have been many reports alleging that Nicole was 3 months pregnant at the time and subsequently had a miscarriage. Cast in the role of the wronged woman, when Tom quickly hooked up with his Vanilla Sky co-star Penelope Cruz, Nicole focused fully on her career, ending the year with her 2nd Golden Globe and being named E-Celebrity of the Year. Over the next few years, gossip columnists had her romantically linked to a host of eligible and not so eligible A-listers, like Robbie Williams, Adrian Brody, Lenny Kravitz, and her Cold Mountain co-star Jude Law. Finally, in 2005, she looked a little closer to home at a gala dinner in Los Angeles honouring noted Australians. Rumours of a romance started circulating soon after, when she and country star Keith Urban were spotted dining out together, and Nicole even joined him on tour. On June the 25th, 2006, they were married at the Cardinal Soretti Memorial Chapel in the grounds of St. Patrick's Estate in Sydney. 2 years later, the news came from Nashville that Nicole had given birth to a baby girl, Sunday Rose Kidman Urban. Now, with 2 teenage children and a toddler to care for, as well as her marriage to Keith, Nicole has decided it's time for her career to take a bit of a back seat.
Because my family's my priority. I don't think it's not really about the balance. It's about that comes first, and then if these things fit in, then I'll do them. But I'm more than willing to walk away from a film or a project, you know, so that I don't have to be separated from my family.
Still managing to look as though she's just stepped out of hair and makeup after 20 years of juggling the roles of mother, movie star, fashion icon and UN ambassador, Nicole Kidman clearly possesses the kind of focus and energy that most of us would kill for.
She's so vital and full of life, and like a lightning and a fireworks and an energy that when you're around her, whether you're on the set, whether it's in a film, whether she just comes around for a cup of tea, it makes life a bit more exciting, and light seems to bounce off the walls and you feel kind of excited, you know.
And there's no doubt that she's held in just as high esteem by her acting peers as she is by her adoring public.
Well, we admire her. She's a hard worker. She's an incredibly beautiful woman. I think she carries herself with elegance and dignity, and I think there's a lot there to admire, apart from her legs.